at first we thought we were kind of the only ones dealing with this, but every conversation that we had with people entered into that impossibility of getting through the county.
And that's a big problem because you have non-elected officials that are essentially calling all the shots.
It feels like if there's a project that's submitted to the county, there can be no discussion. It's got to all be worked in the staff area, and then they'll go to the planning commission, and then the planning commission gets to listen to staff, and then they get to make a decision, and then it goes to county commissioners. I feel there's a lot of citizens that want to express what they want to do with the county commissioners, and as soon as they fill out an application, you're not allowed to discuss through those chains. And that makes it really, really hard to talk about your project and how it's going to add value.
It's the Board of County Commissioners that are the elected officials that should be setting policy. I think they should have an opportunity to weigh in on projects earlier on in the process and help people through the process, because the buck stops with them. I mean, those are the people that are accountable to our citizenry, and they're not being adequately accountable when they're delegating all the important functions to county staff. I think the county commissioners don't even know most of what's going on at the staff level.
Yeah.
I mean, do they know that almost everyone you talk to says it's a nightmare to get anything done in Plata County? I mean, they should know that. And they should be listening to that. And they should say, okay, that's a problem. It's hurting our people, it's hurting our economy.
How many projects that the county commissioners never even knew failed? People came in, barely started the process, realized it's going to be an impossible feat, so they backed out of it. That potential is added revenue streams for the county alone, but it's added value to our community and the citizens. Like you said, the citizens are who we're representing. We need to be a public service for it and help them every way we can. And when we started learning about the land use code, I started researching it, and I realized how restrictive it was and how it's going to be really hard for pretty much any other citizens to get through it. Started talking to people that are in that field, engineers, architects, and it really saddened me when you talk to them and they have that discussion of, we have people come to us all the time for projects, but we tell them you really need to think if you want to do this in La Plata County or not, because the process you're going to go through is extremely long and it's going to cost you a lot more money.
I think La Plata County has evolved to the point where they've lost the forest for the trees. What's happened is the county officials have evolved into this mode of thinking that the people serve the rules rather than the rules serving the people. They've forgotten what government is about. Government is to serve the people. And the rules are designed to make our lives better. Sure, protect the citizens, public safety is important, making sure responsible projects are approved, making sure we have clean air, clean water, all those kinds of things are important. And those are important things to protect the people. But we've evolved to the point where the county's not serving the people anymore. And I've heard this firsthand, where county staff has said, our rules are our rules, and you have to comply with our rules, whether it makes any sense or not. And a lot of times you're getting an interpretation of those rules that's erroneous, that's not specified by the code, or that's a stretch, and they almost always make an interpretation that makes it harder on the landowners, not easier.
We can look directly at the code and we can interpret differently, and it's not, I don't feel it's a discussion with the county. It's, they're going to interpret it, you have to abide by it.
They rely way too much on the county attorneys. They feel like, oh, if we don't do what the county attorneys tell us to do, we're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Or we're going to have some adverse consequence. Nonsense. I mean, I've been practicing law for 29 years, and I tell all my clients, don't let liability issues drive the bus.
Yeah.
Right? You got to consider liability issues, but let your goals and objectives drive the bus.
Yeah.
And you consider liability issues while you're at it, mitigate those as best you can, but you don't completely change course just because you think you're going to get sued over something. A perfect example of how La Plata County is losing business, for example, to Montezuma County. I have some clients in Montezuma County who wanted to build a meat processing plant. which we desperately need another one of those in Plata County because we have a shortage of those things. And in Montezuma County, those farmers and ranchers were taking their livestock to other states to be processed. They're having to expend all kinds of transportation costs and time to take their meat to other places because they couldn't do it in Montezuma County. The one processing facility we have in Plata County was too booked up. And so the community wanted it. Montezuma County commissioners, they addressed important items like, noise, smell, things like that. My clients proposed a state-of-the-art facility, got it approved.
Yeah.
Quickly, cost-effectively, community wanted it, got it done.
Yeah.
In Plata County, they don't care whether it's a good project or not. They just want you to comply with the rules.
Yeah.
And so that needs to change.
Yeah, I would like to see a better process for people that are wanting to think outside the box. Like you said, you can't fit everything into that box, and you should have a right to ask questions, say, well, I can't fit there. Let's look at it this route. And I don't think that happens. Like you said, it goes, these are the rules, comply with them. And if not every project can fit into those specific rules, and it just adds cost upon cost and stretches time out. And we're seeing that right now. I mean, there's a lot of business that is leaving our area, which would be adding value. We desperately need more homes. There is great growth hubs that could be adding homes, starter homes to keep teachers, firefighters, staff, county staff. I think a lot of the county staff lives across the state line. It just makes me think, all of those things aren't issues. Those are all things that we need, and see how we can fix this system. When we talk about policy, it's really up to the Board of County Commissioners to be writing policy.
Top things that you think that we should do to fix these problems with not only the county code that's hurting the people, but also, the culture in the county surrounding the code and the process where the county is acting like the people serve the rules rather than the rules serving the people. What should we do to fix this?
Well, I think the first part of that is when you come into the county, it would be really nice to feel like an equal. So I expect when you go into that with an idea, you would go to the planning, and it would be really nice to get somebody that's going to help you walk you through that process. I don't feel that that's happening right now.
Did it kind of feel like you were appearing in front of the king or the king's servants, and that
Yeah.
you should bow to them and beg them for favors so that they can give you what you want?
That's exactly how it felt. You really struggle because you don't know. So then you have to seek the help from, like you, as a lawyer that knows how to interpret it. Or you have to go to an engineer or a consultant. There's consultants now in our area that say, if you want your project to get through, you have to work with us, and we're going to work every angle that we can through the county to maneuver that. That's not right, in my opinion. I feel that's what the county planning should be there for, is you get a planner, they say, hey, this is a great, unique project. Let's start working these ways through there so we're making sure we can check all these boxes, and then we'll get you up to the planning commission. If the county looked at it that way, I think this process would be far better. You should have benchmarks. You should be looking at it going, hey, we keep hitting this spot and it's not working. We need to look at how we can change this through the staff to get this up to the next level. I also think of every person that walks into the planning department, you should fill out a survey of how you felt going through that process. I think that would give a great deal of insight to the county, realizing, wow, we aren't doing the best public service that we could do for the people. Look at some of the counties that are growing. What's working for them? How is that process go through? You talked about Montezuma County. That's where the majority of our projects are going, out of La Plata County, because they realize they can't get through the process, so they're moving over there. Obviously, they have a system that's working pretty good for their citizens. Mm-hmm. I keep hearing that the planning department was understaffed and overwhelmed, so they're not going to be able to focus on fixing the code because they need to be able to get these projects through. If that's the case, I think if you fix some of the code stuff, it might help a lot of these projects get through there.
Yeah, the reason they're understaffed and overwhelmed is they can't get projects done.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have projects that are spending 2-3 years in the pipeline, or getting bogged down and not getting through at all, you keep adding projects to your plate and you don't get any projects off your plate.
Yeah.
So you just get more projects.
Yes.
And so, and then pretty soon you're understaffed and overwhelmed. It's because you have an inefficient process.
Yeah.
If a code needs to be interpreted, should those considerations go up to the Board of County Commissioners to make those interpretations?
Absolutely. I would definitely think that they're the ones that need to look at that policy and see if it's working or not. And if it's not working, they need to revise it. Part of the thing is if you don't know what the issues are, how are you going to be able to resolve it? So if it's never making its way up to those Board of County Commissioners, it's not going to ever be fixed. You know, you can't scrap the whole thing. I think there's a base there that they could work with, but it needs revised for sure. And it needs just the counties, we talk about that culture with the county, like we're the authority, you need to abide by this. Well, the citizens want something different. So let's do something different so we can thrive and we can have generations thrive here too.